What were you guys doing the day before yesterday?
The day before
I was at work,
yesterday,
living my life, being happy.
I was moving some wood.
That's right. You were moving some wood. Well, you know what? Everything y'all were doing day before yesterday was better than the day before. That the day after it came out, 4 days after it came out, is no longer around anymore. It's gone. Remember this game? So let's back up a little bit. The day before, developed by a team called Fantastic without the A. You know why they're missing the A? Because they're not an A+ studio. That's why. Oh shit. So the day before is a game that's been in production for 5 years, they claim. And it was first announced back in 2021 and quickly became the most wishlisted game on Steam. This has a title the day before that looks oddly similar to The Last of Us. The game looks oddly similar to Last of Us, but they were like, it's going to be an open world MMO zombie survival game. And people are like, oh, that's cool.
It's like Division meets The Last of Us.
Yeah. Division meets The Last of Us. However, it also had really good graphics. You know, the game was like, hey, this graphics are beautiful. That's cool. And then as time went on, they were working on this game. It was in development. Then there was a trademark dispute in 2023 where the game was delisted from Steam due to this trademark dispute with a South Korean company having the same calendar app with the same name. So there was an app called The Day Before that they were like, dispute. Okay. So they had to pull the game down. They had to postpone the game release to November 2023. And despite the delisting, the co-founders were confident that the issue would be resolved and the delay would allow for improvements to the game. They also denied claims that the game was in active development because some people thought, okay, we haven't heard about this game in a while. They're probably not making it anymore. It just like got killed off or whatever. And then there was some criticism that was faced for multiple delays. Beyond the trademark disputes, there was accusations of false advertisement, hiring unpaid labor, several things happening that led to some people calling the game overly ambitious and or mismanaged. So, for example, beyond the trademark dispute, so they had the removal of the trademark dispute. They also faced several delays before the release. One, originally it was slated for a June 2022 release. It was delayed a month before release, and they announced they were switching to Unreal Engine 5 with a new launch date of March 2023. Then they postponed it again in November 2023 following the trademark dispute. And then the game faced accusations of false advertisement. These claims were likely exacerbated by the multiple delays and the trademark issues, leading to skepticism about the game's development and marketing. Then there was criticism for the unpaid labor. The criticism arose due to the company's use of part-time staffers who were working for free, raising ethical concerns regarding the labor practices. And then there was mismanagement around the game's poor reception, led to perception of the game being overly ambitious. Early access release received overwhelmingly negative reviews, with players expressing disappointment in various aspects of the game. All this contributed to this horrible negative perception. Then the game comes out. It comes out, early access release, received overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam. Players criticized the game for its lack of melee combat, poor AI, world design, scale, technical issues, and the fact it was called an MMO when in reality it was an extraction shooter. And then the player count declined significantly after the release. And then 4 days later, December 11th, 2023, Fantastic announced the studio is closing, citing the poor financial performance the day before. The game was removed from sale on Steam the same day. Throughout its development and before the brief post-release period, the game faced numerous challenges, ultimately leading to the closure of the studio. And then they even went as far as to some of their old games. There was one called The Wild 8, I believe, or Wild 8s.
Yeah, Wild 8s.
That was a relatively successful game, but they changed the studio name of the day that they shut down their studio, making people also more concerned of like, okay, they're just trying to save face here and like, fix stuff. Now all the videos have been removed off the internet. All this stuff is happening, and it's kind of a shit show. So how do you guys feel about this? What do you guys think happened here? Do you think this was a result of just a poorly managed game that ended up just not doing well, that needed more time in the oven? Or was this a scam?
Well, I've heard this is basically a scam.
That's what... Because people got their money back eventually, right?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, but they weren't going to give people back.
Yeah, originally they were like, oh, all the money that was made is going to be used to pay back our debts.
Okay.
To people that have partnered with us or whatever.
Okay. So with that being said, I think they tried to pull a scam. they realized it wasn't working, and they were like, well, we're not going to pay people back, and we're going to like, not fix this game and keep the money and do what we got to do until like people are pissed.
They're burdened because they have to actually pay.
They have to actually pay people, and so they legally they had to do it. They did it. So I don't think originally this started off as a scam, like No Man's Sky, but bring it back around. You like that?
there you go.
But I think this was one of those instances where they were trying to push it to come out, and they're like, we'll just fix it on down the road. But people realize this isn't a game you can fix, and they were like, well, let's give up on it. And just
Well, they bit off more they can chew.
that is 100% true.
I mean, if it wasn't a scam, which they might have actually tried to do this, it could have been a No Man's Sky where they're like, okay,
Yeah, we
want to do all this, but we really can't. We've oversold it.
Yeah.
We're trying to get a bunch of money, which I think a lot of people do. They try to overhype
something.
They get the infusion of cash, and they can use that to do what they need to do. Which is an issue for a lot of industries, actually.
And this should be an example why industry shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? If it needs more time in the oven, it needs more time in the oven. Don't push it out. Be like, we'll fix it later.
Well, it's a pretty small studio.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, they're having people, like, they call them volunteers. Come in and try to work for free. Part-time volunteers. They have full-time volunteers, which they actually pay.
Yeah.
Which is just literally a staff.
Yeah.
And then you have part-time volunteers who they want to work on here for free, and then
those volunteers
get monetary value for anything.
Yeah, those volunteers that probably worked there for free was probably like passionate about doing something like this and getting their name out there and getting experience and all that jazz. But it sounds like they abused them. Well,
I'm sure it's like, hey, if this is successful, we can pay you. So it's like, put all your time and effort.
I wouldn't even think
this.
they would have said that. If the game was successful, that's payment enough. That's their name is on that game. You know what I mean? I think that's what the volunteers were thinking.
They can actually get a
studio job. Those higher ups were actually just, you're just volunteers. We're just going to keep pushing you and pushing and pushing to keep doing and doing and doing. And like, dude,
so
they're fucking get paid.
I know.
Their response that came out said that their 40 part-time volunteers work free to help test and analyze its games at the early stage of development. So they were like paid or free testers, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
the concept's great.
It was so interesting because like when they brought out this, like there's this gameplay trailer, they were like, there was a lot of concern that this game wasn't like a real thing. So they were like, well, here's a gameplay trailer to prove it. And it's like they're driving around this massive like world space, and there was like, I mean, the graphics were good. There's driving, there's looting, there's all this stuff. Now, granted, there was no zombies anywhere, but then when actually people got the game and started playing it, they're walking around basically in a city is the only place they can be at. So I bet you what happened was I honestly don't know if this, I'm still struggling with like, was this really meant to be a scam? Because these guys have released 3 or 4 games in the past that were relatively good. They weren't, I mean, they're like 7s and 8s kind of thing, but they weren't bad. And I wonder if they just like pulled a Hello Games, but didn't have the backing to support reviving themselves. Because Hello Games, they didn't have PlayStation money, man. They probably would have fallen in the same suit. Like this one, like could have maybe had potential, but I bet you what they did was they decided to change last minute and be like, we can't make this MMO. Let's cut this back to an extraction shooter instead, and then we'll expand it later on into something more. And they just obviously weren't able to do that, it's so odd that like literally 4 days later, it's like, bam, we're gone.
We're done. Yeah. Well, there was no coming back from this.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only do No Man's Sky once in a generation. So, but apparently somewhere along the lines, like a year before, was it a year before? No, it was like a month before or something. They were going to release in 2022.
Yeah.
They decided to delay it and said that they were going to move from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah,
and have the game ready in 10 months, and people are like, "What? Like, how is this even possible?"
Yeah.
So I don't know where their mind was at, who was in charge of all this, but it was just poorly managed, poorly executed, overhyped, over-delivered. And they could have made this really small game and started off with like something like this, where you're out in the wilderness, where all you have to do is, procedurally generate trees, have some buildings, have a place to survive. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
and then eventually like open up with new DLC to make the map bigger and eventually have a city. And you know, you can have like, as you progress in different areas, the map gets bigger and bigger, and you can do more interesting things, like have a subway system where you have to go in there and find cool loot. And it could have been Destiny for a zombie survival shooter.
Too ambitious.
Yeah.
I also forgot about mentioning what you had pointed out with the them blatantly copying the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Zombies trailer.
Yes. That like, I remember seeing this gameplay, and then I remember seeing that trailer, and then I was just like, oh, this is a bad sign. Like, this is if they're copying almost like shot for shot of that Call of Duty trailer.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't going to be good. And everyone's like hyped about it, ready to rock and roll. And just, you know, that's what I keep telling you guys about the No Man's Sky and No Fire or whatever it's called. They're doing it. They're doing it again. So, see, Brett agrees with me. He knows.
I do.
Fire, no, whatever it's called.
I know Fire. Yeah. But I'm still going to play it.
Yeah, I know. It'll be one of those.
So I want to try it out. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Just want to try it out.
They copied.
Yeah. They like fucking, yeah. So, you don't know.
Yeah. There's also thoughts that they copy the Grand Theft Auto 5 gameplay video as well. Whoa. And I'm trying to see if that's true or not, but maybe there's some similarities there.
Well, they for sure copied The Last of Us.
Yeah, they've been copying all the games.
Yeah, The Division, fucking Snow Runner. You say this is the shot for shot. Like, is blatant. Like, you're like, oh my God.
Come on, guys. Come on.
So yeah, those should have been like warning signs.
They're literally struggling to like, they don't know what they're doing. If you have to copy other people's stuff, like, yeah, you maybe take a shot here or there, or, you know, something that's inspired by one of the trailers that you watch. But if you basically, there's no creativity here, which is a huge issue when you're making a game. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Even if Call of Duty sucked, you know, but
Sorry about the sneeze.
go ahead.
It's a watermelon.
Trying.
Man.
It's a shame though, because it's like there was so much wasted energy around this, you know, and now it's got 22,000 overwhelmingly negative reviews.
Yeah, I'm looking at the reviews now.
Lies. I want my money back. Ended up being a scam. Got my money back. Scam game and worst game ever. Dug meat. I don't know what that is. Why is this pile of dug meat still in the store? Worst game ever.
Oh, look at that one. Go up. The day before, buy. The day before, refund. 10 out of 10.
Day after, yeah.
That's great.
It was really funny walking around this and like seeing like I was watching, I think Tom Graphic or whatever. He's like plays like Jack Frags and he posted a video about it. I was like, I'm gonna play this so you guys don't have to buy it. And he's walking around and there's so many they release the day before and close the day after.
Recommend.
Anyways, you're saying.
Yeah, no, he's walking around and like trying to find loot and like the only way to loot is like there's little like duffel bags lying around everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can't like just go up to like a box or anything like that. Like none of the crates have anything in them. So it's just like a singular duffel bag you have to find. And then he played for 30, 45 minutes and I think saw 3 zombies.
Wow.
The entire time and no humans. And I'm like, what do you do in this game? Like, how is it?
It's almost like Division, like the first Division was super empty, you know, unless you went into certain areas where they had bad guys, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like throughout the city.
It's true. The Division sucked too. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, fair enough.
It was good. It was good.
You guys remember The Walking Dead episode 1?
Yeah.
Rick Grimes is walking around. Someone left a comment for this game. A review. Don't open. Dead inside. Do not recommend.
Do not recommend.
Love it. I love it.
It's pretty bad. So, what do you think? So there was a video I saw, an article actually, that was talking about how this is becoming a common trend of specifically survival-based games releasing early access really shitty and broken. But it's continuing to happen. I feel like it's specifically in the survival game genre. I mean, let's talk about what's the game that Travis loves?
Force.
Yes, The Forest 2 came out.
Okay.
Sons of the Forest. It was broken as shit. It was very buggy.
But they fixed it.
Well, maybe.
I don't know.
Sure, probably.
People are
but
still playing it.
But it keeps happening, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
I think that's what the indie
when is
game,
this going to be okay? But it's
Well, that's
especially
the
with these
thing.
games.
If
you
it's
know?
early access and I'm paying like a cheaper price, like I'm expecting it to be a little fucked up, which is fine. I mean, it's telling you like
Yeah.
this game is still being worked on.
Yeah.
I'm less upset about that than if, you know, another AAA company comes out with a game and it's broken, like Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
So, because we're like, oh, it's supposed to be, you know, gold. It's ready to go.
So what you're saying is we should have given this game more credit then.
no, I'm saying
I'm just kidding.
if it says it's an early access and it kind of sucks, then yeah, I mean, it just kind of sucks. But I mean, you can tell by what you're playing if there's issues. And obviously, this one has issues.
Yeah. Yeah. This one has a lot of issues for sure.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
It is, because it looked really fun. I remember the first trailer being released. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah, the first trailer looked
I
cool.
could get into this.
You know?
I never really got into any of the trailers. I just thought visually, I was like, this is amazing, but it always felt boring to me. And I was like hopeful that like maybe they're going to bring it out and be like, oh, cool. Like this actually does have it. Because like, what was that? The zombie game that we played, Austin, on Game Pass with
Call of Duty.
Travis and
World War
them.
Z.
No, it was a
of Duty.
MMO zombie game.
Call of Duty.
State of Decay.
State of Decay.
Shut up.
That was actually fun.
It was interesting, you know. It's like we go out there, we hunt for some loot, we come back, we load up our base and like make it better and whatnot.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what I was kind of hoping this game was, but better graphics because State of Decay had bad graphics,
Right, right.
but it wasn't that.
Fortnite Zombies
Yeah.
did that better than day before.
Oh, you mean like the Save the
The
World?
Save the World was fucking basically that,
It's not an MMO though.
but still, like
This isn't either.
yeah, this isn't a game anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Oh.
Yeah, I just think you have to. This shit's gonna happen, and I mean, if it's early access and you're not paying like 40 plus, sometimes you do pay 40 for early
Yeah.
access. But if you're only paying like, I don't know how much it was for early access. Did they have a price?
Was it like 20,
I think it was 40.
40?
Oh, see,
That was close.
you gotta know what you get yourself into, and yeah, these games might not pan out to be anything.
Yeah.
You know, there's only a handful that like have early access and get a lot of recognition, and then people like start playing it, and it gets picked up on Twitch, and they get a huge infusion of cash, and at that point, it's like, oh well, I can continue doing this. And usually, it's a very small man team, like Lethal Company, huge infusion of cash, so they're going to start cranking out content,
Oh, yeah.
and you can tell they're passionate about it. Same with Ready or Not.
Oh, Ready or Not, especially like because Ready or Not finally dropped, right?
Oh, it's 1.0.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
like
1.0.
it's
Oh, yeah, it is
fucking
1.0.
intense. Have you guys seen it?
No,
Holy
I
smokes!
want to play it again for sure.
Okay, I didn't know it was 1.0 for some reason.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So when it came out, it was really fun.
Yeah, it was
there was
fun.
issues.
yeah.
There was not that many maps, not that many guns, but
But you
it
knew
was
what
still
you're
fun.
Yeah,
And so like you could get some hours out of it for the money that you put in. And now that it's in full release, I don't know how many maps they got, but I'm sure a lot of because the last time I played with y'all, I don't think it was 1.0.
No.
They had a content
No, it's
update.
1.0 just happened last week.
yeah. it
too.
happened,
Okay, yeah.
like, yeah.
So yeah, there was a content update. They fixed the AI. Everything's a lot more intense,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fun. I was like, oh sweet, I'm glad I put my money to that, and
Mm-hmm.
something's come of it.
The day before said on their early access page that they were going to be in early access for 6 to 8 months. And that at the very end of their what is in the current state of the game, they were like, we have implemented everything we wanted for the game based on our vision of a post-pandemic survival experience.
Cool.
Sure you did.
I'm glad you did.
You did not.
Glad you failed us.
You did not. You lied.
It's so funny. So that's the day before and the day after. It'll never come back. It's all gone, everybody.
Nice.
It's gone away.
Yeah, we got to talk about this stuff and get it out there and let people know. Like, you just can't. I mean, you got to look at the clear signs. So I know some people don't keep up with it. I wasn't keeping up with everything until obviously recently.
Yeah.
And it's like if you just go, you dig in, like you want to find out who these people are and what they've done, and they have made other games, so it's not like, oh, these are just some nobodies who
Brand
come out
new
of nowhere.
studio, yeah.
That might be that would be real fishy.
Yeah.
People are like, why are you doing this? How are you doing this? But yeah, just digging into it. Make sure you know where your money's going. Because if you get quote unquote scammed and you haven't done your research, but then at the same time, I don't know how Steam deals with some of this stuff either.
I felt like Steam probably stepped in on this one a little bit.
Oh, they had to at this point.
Yeah.
But before, it's like when they like, oh, I want to put a game in your store.
Oh, I see what you're
And
saying.
they're just like, yeah, okay, cool. Put your game in here.
Well, they used to be very lenient about it, and now they started getting a little bit heavier duty because there was
Yeah.
stuff getting through the store that they were like, that should not be in our store right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
some
this
games have
one,
been pulled.
had every intention of being good or it planned to be, and then they just pulled this is like the Fire Festival of video games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah. It's basically the same thing. It's like, yeah, we're going to make this really awesome, badass experience, and then, nah, it's a shit show.
It's a shit show. I hope someone sees this game, this concept.
Maybe they'll get
and is
arrested.
Like, I want, we should make this
Yeah.
and do it right.
Yeah.
Man,
One day we'll see.
one day, man.
See what happens. Let us know what you think about the day before below. Did you play it? What did you think of the little experience? I kind of wish I had played it for free just to like feel it and see
feel
how
it.
bad it was.
Yeah.
'Cause I heard it was just like super, but people were like worried it was gonna like blow their computer up or something. So it's like, oh my god,
Not optimized at all.
not what I want to hear. So yeah, that's the end of the day before.